Hi guys, how's everyone doing? Hopefully everybody's doing good. Um, I'm back again with another video on my getting funded journey, and I just thought I should do a quick video on this one trade I took because it was a perfect example of the type of trades that I am preparing myself to take, or the type of psychology that I have to take trades that are actually more profitable and well thought out. So as you can see, I started the account on the 7th of September, which was last week. Started good because I started with the $80 profit, and then the following day it was a $157 profit. And that's the trade I want to show you, because the $80 one, I don't know, I think I cleared the chart or something like that. So but then it was a simple sell on a raising wedge. But then the one I took on the 8th, or last week Friday, is the one that I actually want to break down, and I might even get into the NAS one that I took, the one I made losses on yesterday. I know I never analyzed NASDAQ or whatever, but I've been secretly trying to analyze it and trying to see how it moves and stuff. As you can see, that's where I made most of my losses so far. It was with NASDAQ. Um, as you can see, but then it wasn't as brutal. So I'm about to break down the AUD JPY trade that I took that gave me like the biggest profit so far. Because now time is running by. I can see that I want to clear this chart and move on, but then I just told myself I'm not gonna clear the chart until um I break this trade down to you guys. So boom, what we have here is initially this move was not here. Let me just let me do this. Right. Yeah, let me just put it like this. Right. So initially it was like this, and what I saw was that there's a I will have to move around, so this is gonna be uh okay. What I saw was that we have our, you know what, you get what I mean, because I'll have to move the mouse around a lot, but if I want to cover this thing, it's not gonna work. But then anyways, what I saw initially was that, okay, we have this trend going on. Obviously we are trapped inside of this range, the dotted the dashed arrows, right? And a raising wedge has been forming on a within the confinements of this range, right? And it has been respected. We had our first touch here, we had our second touch, right? First touch on the resistance, second touch on the resistance. And ever since the touch on the resistance, which also happened to be touch on the resistance of the range, our price has been making lower highs, right? Price has been making lower highs. So okay, from this touch, price has been making it. I even expected a double top, but then it even failed to come back to this level before dropping. It actually created a double top around this area. As you can see, we have our double top right here, right? So as you can see, our price ever since has been making lower highs. And then as soon as it broke this level right here, I was like, okay, um, this looks like something, right? This level was a support at some point, got broken, resistance or retest, got broken again, and then it got broken again. So it got disrespected 2 times in a row without no retest. I was like, okay, something is up, right? And I also connected the highs, or I connected the highs with the trend line. As you can see, the red arrows, I was like, okay, that's the first touch on the resistance line. This is the second touch on the resistance line, which is obviously downtrending. And um it would be interesting to see what happens around this area now, because I'm expecting a retest on this one flip zone or significant zone where it was a support and a resistance and it got broken twice. I'm expecting a retest, and it's also going to be a touch on the resistance when you look at the trend line, as we keep track of the lows or the highs that price has been making, as we can see that or observe that price has been making lower highs. So I'm like, okay, there's a lot that can happen around this area, because there's just like, this is just like a key point. It's a key point, because this is where like our technical concepts meet, because now this is a flip zone where it meets or connects with the trend line, so something has to cook, right? So okay, price came down, and obviously here when it made this drop, it was obvious, because we were like, okay, it's clearly playing according to the raising wedge. Obviously the dead touch is either it touches and goes up, or it breaks. So in this case it broke, but then in it breaking, we didn't really see much of bearish movement as we would have expected, because if price is going to form such a huge correction or a huge pattern, we expect it to be super impulsive when it moves out of that pattern. But it didn't do that. Instead, it retraced the drop, right? It reversed, and created a support right here, and then went to go make a touch. Well, this was just like a random area initially, but then it made a touch on this gray area. As you can see, the gray, there's a gray support, and then there's a gray resistance, right? So those were the confinements at which I was looking at price at that moment. So price did that, and then I was like, okay, it's probably forming a range, but then it started making higher lows. This was a higher low right here. I didn't understand what it was trying to achieve. I didn't understand what this was meant to be, right? But then price went back up to the resistance, and then made another touch, even created another touch again. I think it was 3 touches, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, and then from there on, it created this pattern. You understand this bullish continuation pattern, as you can see. So with that being said, I was like, okay, if price is gonna create this pattern and still make a touch on this support right here, it means it validates the range that I thought we had, right? Because now it's 2 touches on the support of the range, and then there's multiple touches on the resistance. And after this touch, price started being impulsive to the upside, and as you can see, it created some sort of a break and retest dynamic right here, right? It created some sort of a break and retest dynamic right there. Let me just border it. Yeah, right. And I was like, obviously there's people or there's traders watching this, and they are ready to enter buys, because this is a clear break and retest. Let me make this line solid so that everybody sees it, right? So that you can really make it. It depends on how you draw your trend lines, right? So I was like, okay, this is too obvious. This is clearly to lure in all the buyers and to manipulate buyers into thinking this is going to buy. And obviously the manipulation did a great job, because buyers entered. This looks like a break and retest. And obviously this also looks like a flip zone, because if you can pay close attention, you will see that price found a little bit of a resistance here, or a drawdown point. As you can see, there's a bullish candle that closed right below this before price actually dropped, and then price came back, broke to the upside, and retested. So there's liquidity around this area. So obviously buyers entered, and when buyers entered here, I saw this instantly as an opportunity to actually be, to be very, very observant, and very to pay attention to detail now. Because remember, I always had this area around this point where I was like, okay, it's an interesting point. It's either price is gonna break the level or actually reverse from that level, right? But then now with this pattern, I'm convinced that price is gonna drop, because you must understand the phases in the market whenever the market maker is trying to generate liquidity, right? They're gonna give you an obvious pattern or a price scenario where it looks like it's easy to enter, it's obvious for you to enter. At the same time, they know that you're gonna do the same what they manipulate you to do, and then only to take price to the opposite direction. What do I mean? Obviously, we had our break and retest, and the buyers were activated. Even the ones who were waiting for manipulation to end, they thought, okay, price went up, right? Price went up. All the buyers got activated, and then price made a touch on this line. It even broke above, even though it didn't really close above the line. But then you can see there was a huge rejection, right? And then it came back to close around this area, right below this flip zone. And then that's when I activated my sells. I was like, okay, instead of buying here, obviously the buyers are probably adding more buys. That's more liquidity. They're adding more buys, and they have their stop losses around this area right here, right below the retest probably, right? They probably have their stop losses, and there's just like a pool of stop losses around this area. So if I enter sells here, I'm gonna take my profit around this area because it was Friday, and I barely take trades on Fridays, especially in the afternoon, because there's less liquidity. But then I closed most of my trades on at around 7 p.m. on Friday. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna enter sells here, the stop losses of the buyers who are in this trade right now are below the retest lows, because this is where they entered. They probably put their stop losses around this area just to be safe, so I'm gonna enter my sell here and take my profit here. So what I basically did was to do the total opposite of what an average, or not average, but then a trend line trader or a pattern trader did, which is like a majority of traders, right? Did the total opposite of what they did. Instead of adding buys here because of the break and retest was confirmed and it was valid, I added sells, and as you can see, price started dropping. I'm so mad that I took my profits early because I could have made it more money, but it's just like one of my rules that I don't hold trades over the weekend, and as soon as it's late on Friday, I close all my trades. And this candle was the candle that opened the markets, which is insane. If you thought you were safe with this pattern, and thinking that with your stop losses maybe around these areas, they took everything that had to do with the stop loss around this area. All the liquidity that was here was collected, and now price is only now moving to the upside. So I just thought I should break down that trade for you guys, because I've caught a lot of these, not a lot of these, but then previously, if you've been watching my videos, if you've been tapped in, you understand the psychology that I put behind most of my winning trades. It's just like, most of the time it's unorthodox, because I don't trade the obvious, whenever, I mean, there's times where I say, okay, this is the obvious move, but then for me to not be that gullible trader, let me just put my take profit not in the obvious areas. If I'm expecting a certain move, I'm gonna be like, okay, shit, the market makers probably expect me to take my profit there, but then I'm gonna take it a little bit lower if it's a buy, or a little bit higher if it's a sell. So it's just like always thinking, or always entering the market with that mindset of saying, I'm up against people who want me to lose so that they can generate liquidity. And obviously there's some moves that are quite obvious in the markets, and you don't want to fall for the bait, right? So with that mindset, I mean, sometimes it might be hard for you to find those trades, but then just put yourself in a situation where you're like, okay, shit, let me put myself in a position where I am against whatever a trend line trader or an average trader has going on. And then that's how you're gonna be on the right side of the market, even though it might look like you are doing the total opposite of what you've been taught, right? So yeah, this is one of those trades where I'm like, okay, this might open up your mind to see how, because this is the type of trades where you enter and you have your TP somewhere up here, and then you have your TP, your stop loss inside of the pattern, and then you're like, okay, why did I get stopped out? Because the pattern is perfect. Yeah, that's the point. They print out the pattern for you so that you can fall for the bait, or you can get lured into the market, and then they destroy that pattern before they actually the move is made. So it's just like, I just thought I should record this just to open up your mind to look at the market differently. And next time, just like stop yourself before you enter a trade and be like, okay, am I part of the liquidation here, or am I part of the group that is actually um doing the 5% or the 5 to 1% of the winners who actually do the opposite of what most of the losers do, and then just execute on that, and then see how you're gonna change or improve your trading. So yeah, that's all I had to say. As for the NAS, I'm not gonna lie, it's totally opposite to what I just explained here, because this is what I had on NAS. This is what I had on NAS. We have I don't want this video to be long, but this is how my NAS looks like, right? Right. So I was like, okay, price has been respecting this trend line 1, 2, 3 touches already, right? But then it's still failing to go make new highs, because the highs that has that the high that has been holding is this one. This is the high that has been holding, and price has been making lower highs ever since. Price made a new high, not a new high, but then a lower high here in the form of a range, even though the high didn't even make it to the previous high. And then price has been dropping ever since. And then as soon as price came back to around this area, it didn't even make it to the high that failed to break the previous high. So as you can see, it's been lower high. It's a lower high in simple terms, right? And then obviously in going up, price created this raising wedge pattern, which it broke out of recently, and then price has been dropping like that. I mean, I saw that price has been also even after or during the breakage of this raising wedge, price made a new high here, and then made a second one here. So I connected the highs and then figured out that it's actually more or less the same pattern as the one I just explained, but then this one didn't have the manipulation or the liquidation grab theory, right? Where you get lured in with a certain pattern just for price to do the opposite of what the pattern is supposed to do. So I was like, okay, first touch, second touch on the resistance line. Let me enter here, right? And I was late too, because this candle at 3 I missed it. I'm not gonna lie. But then I was like, you know what? It's cool. I'm gonna enter as soon as price breaks this line. Why this line? Because this line is also significant. There was a resistance here a couple of times, two touches on it, one, two, it's even more than two, three, right? Price broke, came back to retest the zone, right? And then as you can see, there's also another retest here. So it's a quite significant zone. So I was too blinded by the pattern to see that, okay, if this zone is so significant and it's supposed to be a retest, either a retest to break to the downside or to the upside. And as soon as price broke down or broke this line to the downside, I was like, okay, you know what, I'm selling, because it even supports the pattern that I have here, which is a raising wedge that is like a bearish candle, a bearish pattern. So if I enter here, this will be an early entry for a potential move like this. So I'm going to be entering it early. You understand? This is what I expected, but unfortunately, I was too blinded and too biased to even realize that, okay, the rejection around this area means that price broke to the upside. Now it's retesting this area before it goes up, So I entered around this area, but then as soon as this bullish candle after the bearish one broke the high of the bearish candle, even though it didn't close above it and it closed around this area, I was like, okay, this is not what I thought this was going to be, which is also important as a trader. Like, as soon as you see the market doing making moves that you were not expecting, be honest with yourself, right? Before you make a huge loss, thinking that okay, you're supposed to be right. You are definitely right. That's how you lose a lot of money. Because honestly, entering here, I expected price to drop. I expected a heavy drop, but then it didn't. And the bearish candle that I entered on was actually disrespected. So I was like, you know what? This is not the trade that I thought it was. And I was actually right. This was a break of this line and a retest to go to the upside. And I exited earlier than, I exited on the right time because it could have easily got out of hand. It could have easily got out of hand. As you can see, the losses were not that brutal. It was just $33 because I only used what lost was 0.25 and two 0.30s. You understand? So it was all under control. So let's just stay tuned for what happens next in this account. I've been trading for 3 days. Everything is under control, but I still have to get to the profit target, which is just like 256 dollars away. So yeah, just stay tuned and I'll keep you posted. I told you guys if I pass this one or when I pass this trial, beginning of October, I'm starting with the real funded challenge, and you guys are gonna be at every step of the way because I'm gonna be letting you know and sharing my experience, sharing my journey with you guys. I told you we're gonna be leveling up in real time. If you wanna be part of the journey, it's cool. I showed you how to get a trial account or trial challenge like this. So if you've been doing the same thing, shout out. Hopefully the trial challenges are preparing you for the real one. Hopefully you're getting all the preparation that you need, and let's get it, man. It all starts with the one step. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So this is definitely a step to the right direction. And just keep your head down, keep grinding, keep taking note. You'll never know enough in the market. So just open your heart to being a student forever, being student of the game, and just be humble. Never think, okay, now you have it. That's when you totally lose it. So yeah, let's just keep going, and yeah, check you guys on the next video.